All right, we're back, baby. We're back. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chad and you're tAilor. Today we're going to be doing some Sashiko stitching for mending of your garments. Specifically, I'm going to be mending some pants. These pants here. If you guys are a long-time viewer of the channel, remember one of my first DIY designer episodes, I am making some Levi's Vetements pants, where I took these Levi's, these ones here, and I altered them in a way that made them a little bit more deconstructed, that kind of stuff. I'll leave a card at the top if you guys want to go check it out. And I've had these pants for about 5 or so years now, and I've worn them quite a bit. If you guys don't know, Sashiko is like a technique, traditional Japanese technique to mend garments so that you can keep using them as long as possible. It's really cool and really popular nowadays. You see it a lot on TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. I'm going to show you guys how to do it so you too can mend your garments and not have to throw them out. It's a lot of handwork, so it's a little bit more time consuming than other mending techniques, but I think it looks really nice and really cool. Let's get to sewing. All right, so some things we're gonna need for this project are some scrap fabric, some thread, longer needle. It doesn't have to be a longer needle, and of course, our garment with the hole in it. And taking a closer look at our garment right here, this is my pair of Levi's 550s. So we're gonna be patching this in our Sashiko style to be opening up the inseam stitch right here so I get a little bit more space. Getting my handy dandy trusty razor blade. I'm just going to be opening up those stitches. Now that I got a little hole open, I'm going to flip it. So the outseam is, the inseam is opened up, and you can see I have a lot more space to play with when it comes to patching the pants. You can see one hole here and another hole here. We're gonna start with patching this on the inside. So this is the inside part of the jeans. First thing we're gonna be doing, getting our patch of fabric. So I have a patch of similarly colored fabric, although it doesn't have to be similarly colored if you wanna do like a different style or something like that. So I'm going to be covering our holes with this piece of fabric. This is a pretty good coverage. And what I'm going to be doing is getting some pins and just pinning the patch down so that it doesn't move. Now that that's all done, here we have the patch. It's covering the holes in our pants. You can see here we have our hole with the fabric beneath it, and same thing here, our hole with the fabric beneath it. Our next step is going to be covering this hole with a whip stitch. Same with this hole as well too down here. And to get started on that, I'm taking my scissors here and I'm just cutting off all this excess frayed area. Make sure not to cut off too much. You still want to have a decent edge. There we go. Now that I cut off all the fringe, I'm going to tuck in the edges of the hole just so that it has a little bit more of a cleaner look. And I'm tucking in the edges by about 1/4 of an inch, give or take. It doesn't have to be exact, but just about 1/4 of an inch. And I'm using some pins here just to keep it nice and steady. All right, this is looking really good so far. So we made the hole have sort of cleaner edges. And now we're gonna take our thread, or in my case, the embroidery floss and our needle, and just do a whip stitch all the way around the edge. Now, when starting to stitch, I do wanna insert the thread from the underside. So I'm just gonna stitch it from underneath and then sort of poke through the top. There we go. And make sure just to knot the thread at the end so it doesn't pull through the fabric. All right, now we can start stitching. Okay, cool. So first thing I'm gonna do is put the thread's now coming out of the edge of the fabric. I'm gonna put it onto the new fabric, insert it, and then insert it back on the old pants at a diagonal. And just pretty much keep stitching. Oh yeah, oh yeah, nice. Now that this is done, let's move on to the cross hatch stitching. What we're gonna be doing next is removing all these pins, and then we can flip it over again and we can do the cross hatch stitching. Going from 1 centimeter to another centimeter horizontally and then vertically, so I can get a nice cross pattern. Dot square. So we're gonna be making a stitch from here, skipping from there, skipping, and so on. One thing I also did before I get started is I used my beeswax here, coming from the underside of the fabric, stitch on that dot and knot at the bottom, in, and then out at another dot. Now here's what the vertical stitching looks like. This nice, beautiful cross hatch X patterns. I think this looks really cool. Will I do this again? Probably, if these pants get damaged or anything like that in the future. I think I'll use this technique to mend it so I keep the whole entire garment cohesive. I use blue thread, blue embroidery floss on here. I just like the look of it. On other garments, you see contrast, white and blue, black and blue. Sometimes I see red. Go crazy, do whatever you want to do. You could also explore different patterns. Here I did like an X pattern, but I've seen different patterns like, you know, box patterns or geometric fractal shapes. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to keep it simple, a nice X pattern for these pants. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if you do happen to do this, yeah, let me know on Instagram, DM me on Twitter, all that kind of stuff. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.